Hello everyone and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is supposed to be an absolute banger of Protoss versus Zerg. I haven't seen this game yet, but supposedly this is a really fun one. So I'm excited to find out exactly what ended up going down between these two players. Now I can't help but notice that our Zerg player was not producing a drone. So instead he decides to go for the earliest possible spawning pool at 12 supply. So first off, spotting here in the bottom right-hand corner of Berlingrad and playing with the red Zerg drones. We have the current world champion of StarCraft 2. Playing for Clash from Italy, we have none other than Reynor. His opponent, sending out a probe pretty early on as well, just to try and block an expo from going up. Playing with the blue Protoss pieces for Team Liquid. From Poland, we have MaNa. Now I love this. A drone is being sent out at the appropriate time. So MaNa right now probably assumes he has blocked the natural expo and that a third is going to be taken instead. Now, okay, Reynor is actually sending that drone across the map. Oh, okay, he's going to mine out the 5 minerals right over there to shorten the rush distance, I suppose. Okay, so we have 6 Zerglings already coming up. Now, obviously, Reynor is going to expand, eventually out of this, at least most of the time, but it's definitely going to be very far delayed. The drone actually decides to move on right now as well. Is Reynor taking a page out of Bly's book? He was thinking about it at the very least. Nice reaction speed right here from MaNa, blocking a hatchery from being built inside of his own natural expo. Well, I mean, you kind of need to hang out in the wall as well, I suppose. Maybe you should have pulled a second probe from the mineral line. Either way, right now, MaNa is gonna be in crisis mode. There's Zerglings running across the map. There's a hatchery building inside of his own natural. Obviously, he's constructing a wall right here at the front, but you can't make a shield battery or anything along those lines until the cybernetics core is done. Zerglings have already arrived because of those 5 minerals that are mined out there. It reduces the rush distance significantly. He's gonna need to pull more workers, I think. I think he should pull like 4. Second Zealot is coming out. Does he not have a second Chrono Boost available? Well, not yet anyway. Very greedy approach right here from MaNa, but apparently fully in control so far. But I wonder if he's maybe like not a little bit underprepared? Because there's a hatchery building right over here. Obviously, Zerg can produce a queen from there. Zerg can produce a couple other units over there as well, obviously, once the larva spawn. If the gateway falls, these additional Zerglings can run in pretty easily as well. Right now, one of them gets surrounded. Second one trying to get into that little nuke. I think the first one will go down. Second one will probably also be picked off. Quite a lot of Zerglings, well, you know what? Not really that many Zerglings are gonna find their grave. Luckily here for MaNa, he does pop out an Adept. Shield battery comes up. Honestly, this is a very calm and collected approach right here from MaNa. Like, that could have been an absolute disaster, right? So, big picture right now. 2 Zealots went down. I mean, it's obviously not a net positive here for the Protoss at all. But I wonder if maybe he should have killed a couple or pulled a couple more probes, so maybe like 1 or 2 Zealots could have actually stayed alive, and then the hatchery wouldn't be able to produce so much stuff. The issue is, right, if this queen pops out and puts down a creep tumor, there's not going to be an expansion for our Protoss player for a very long time. He's going to need to get some sort of detection first. And honestly, at this point, I don't really see exactly how it can be prevented. If the queen goes really far away, oh my god, MaNa's going to try and hunt it down as well. He needs to shut this down. It's really critical. Okay, it does pop the creep tumor right there. Obviously, the queen will start accumulating more energy. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, MaNa has already planted down a gateway. So MaNa is going to go for the warp gate to upgrade. So the warp gates are going to finish very soon. Zerglings are being taken care of inside of the main base as well, but MaNa is losing a little bit of mining time there. This is honestly really cool. So MaNa is going to, I guess, go for a good old 3-gate. 3 gateways in total. It hits very hard. This is a build that we saw back in Wings of Liberty. Now, obviously, this is a bit of a different approach than what we saw back in the day. As a matter of fact, they ended up nerfing the warp gate research time. Oh my god, is he even gonna like... This is like 10 years ago, by the way. Anyways, they ended up nerfing it because it was a little bit too powerful. Zerglings have now found the proxy, but already Adepts are going into the main base. There's no Zergling speed or anything just yet, so finally MaNa is going to be able to deal some counterattack damage. Nice round right here by Reynor, though. I don't think drones are supposed to be the counter to Adepts, but so far, I mean, he's still taking a tremendous amount of damage. 7 drones end up going down. In the meantime, though, a couple of the other units still at home for MaNa are eventually going to get rid of the hatch. This is some impressive play here from the Protoss player. This is the kind of Protoss pressure, or sorry, Zerg pressure that you can easily forget, the game about, right? Like, you can easily accidentally you know, forget that you're playing a game against another opponent as well while you're drastically trying to, or hectically trying to defend at home. The fact that he had the, like, the mental headspace, I guess, to put down a pylon on a gateway on the other side of the map and then also preventing that creep tumor from coming up, it's very easy to accidentally make a mistake there. Now, I love this as well, actually backing off, not allowing these Zerglings to get a good hit in. I don't know if he was paying attention right there to the spawning pool. Like, you can see the little spawning pool wiggle to notice whether or not it was researching metabolic boost already. Pretty sure when the first 3 adepts went in, it wasn't. So MaNa knows he should have a little bit more time here to harass. Once link speed finishes up, obviously this is going to be a little bit harder. Honestly, he could just, yes! Ooh! At the very least, consider shading on top of the ramp. Obviously, the service area on these adepts is going to be, yeah, heavily reduced. But honestly, just forcing out more links here is already pretty good. At this point, we have 25 Zerglings out. There's a lot more Zerglings coming, actually. Is Reynor gonna follow this up with like a second layer to this all-in? Finally, Nexus will be acquired here for MaNa. But honestly, when you're making this many Zerglings, I'm pretty sure he plans on going towards the other side of the map. Very dangerous move here, though. Reynor sees that a few sentries are being warped in. Sentries are units that you really do not want to lose as a Protoss player. Link speed, 10 seconds from finishing. He's not gonna commit, no way. There's a couple of sentries over here, right? And those sentries are so powerful. A couple of good force fields can definitely give these adepts a lot more time to work. Link speed is done. Alright. So far, I mean, I don't think I like this push. No, I don't like this push too much from the Protoss. The Queens right now helping out as well. Very patient approach here from Reynor. Obviously, he's got transfuse energy as well on those Queens, so that Spine Crawler is helping out a tremendous amount. Honestly, this is... this is some proper high-level StarCraft, and I think in the end, Reynor is gonna come out ahead of this. Because I don't really see these Protoss units going home very easily. Yeah, losing those 3 sentries really kind of sucks. He's just gonna continue onwards, though. Alright. Already oversaturating here for a little bit. Twilight Council now coming up as well. Keep in mind, we see adept pushes all the time in StarCraft 2, but adept pushes are always done, or 9 times out of 10 at the very least, they're always done with the Glaives upgrade. So it takes a Twilight Council to do that research. It's basically like a flat attack speed buff for these adepts. Makes them so much more powerful. In these battles, the adepts are pretty good, but not as good as they could be. Alright, finally, Reynor decides to add on a Roach Warren. How many workers do we have right here? Pretty decent amount, 38 drones right now versus 32 probes. So the eco lead is ever so slightly in favor here of Reynor, but obviously he doesn't have a third base or anything along those lines. Dark Shrine is coming up together with Glaives. I like it. So MaNa is going for 2 different approaches here. I wonder if he needs additional gases for this. I mean, it's only a handful of gateways, I guess. You know what? I think he just plans on warping in as many adepts as possible. And then once the Dark Shrine is done, warp in like 3 of those Dark Templar too. And then see if the Zerg player has any detection. At this point, there's no lair. There's no Spore Crawlers. Okay, there's a Spore Crawler coming up. Reynor has seen that Twilight Council when he scouted it with an Overlord about a minute or so ago, so he knows that there's a chance that the opponent is gonna try and get some DTs out on the board. Obviously, DTs though. Ooh. Obviously, DTs though are very good defensively as well. Zerglings are going across. There's one Stalker in the Warlock, but there is already a shield battery, so I don't really see this one really work it out. Although, you know what? Yeah, that gateway from earlier actually, hold up. He's targeting right now with the shield battery as well. Maybe another adept over here would not really hurt. You know, he's got 1 added into the mix here. Robo facility also comes up. MaNa going on a bit of a walk. Glaives is done at this point. I feel like that may have been a good moment to actually go in for the move out. Anyways, look who have arrived. The Dark Templar are here. Yes, there is detection available, but obviously if you just target fire down the Spore Crawler, you can just kill it. Yep, there you go. Once the Spore Crawler is gone, there's no more detection here for the Zerg player at all. These Dark Templar are gonna have an absolute field day. At the same time, the Zerglings have taken care of that 1 pylon that was powering most of this stuff. There's actually another Spore Crawler coming from the main base as well, but it can't burrow on the ramp. He needs to be very careful. Reynor does have transfuse energy available. A couple more adepts inside of the main base too. Reynor does snipe that pylon like I tried pointing out, and that 1 pylon going down means that there's not going to be any more reinforcements on the side of the Zerg at the very least, like on the side of the Zerg side of the map from the Protoss play. It's a confusing sentence. All right. Feel like I've been shouting into a microphone for about 10 minutes. But it looks like this game is calming down at least a little bit. Double Robo as a follow-up here from MaNa. Probe managed to go down towards the low ground, but that's not gonna happen. Insta-cancel. Couple more DTs warped in now defensively. I kind of like it. So the lair is about 80% of the way done. Yeah, so no way for this third hatchery to go up just yet. The one Dark Templar over here kind of looks like Zeratul, having an absolute blast. Denying this base for as long as possible. It's probably not going to make it until the end of this game, but at the very least it's being an absolute thorn in the side of Reynor so far. So there's the Overseers coming up. One Overseer for scouting, one for base defense. Couple of Immortals, okay. Loaded inside of a Warp Prism, and it looks like they're ready to go to the other side of the map as well. Honestly, even once this Dark Templar is cleared out and a hatchery gets built again, 2 Immortals dropped right over here are going to be able to make short work of it. Even when there's Zerglings, even when there's a couple of Roaches, with good targeting, MaNa can kill this easy. Go, go, go. Yeah. Target it. Oh my god. Okay, nice cancel there by Reynor. I think it could have been a kill, maybe a little bit of mistargeting right there from MaNa. Either way, the annoying Protoss player continues for a little while longer against the annoying Zerg. Roachhorn actually taking a lot of damage. Okay. At the same time, on the other side of the map, there's a little bit of a Roach push. Disruptor is out as well. Okay. Third base is just about to be done. Disruptor obviously absolutely phenomenal. MaNa decided to recall the Prism to try and do some more damage on the other side of the map. Does that a very nice Purification Nova there. Zerglings going around though. This is going to be an important defense. Need to pick up all of those Immortals. Nice juggling right here from the Protoss player. There's not a Purification Nova. This time around, Reynor does manage to dodge it. Third base is done. MaNa did not make a shield battery over here, which actually is going to make it kind of difficult to hold onto. Keep in mind, this is now slowly turning into a 2-base all-in right here from our Zerg. Oh my god, it's Disruptor! He does actually hit it. Reynor does also end up killing that Disruptor eventually, so, you know, an eye for an eye, but when you're in a 2-base situation against a 3-base Protoss, pretty sure that comes out as an advantage for the Protoss player. Prism speed is also done! Careful, careful, careful. Oh my god. Oh, careful! Yeah, he can't actually pick it up. That is a rough loss right there for MaNa. MaNa going a little bit too aggressively right there through the center of the map. Takes a lot of damage. And even though he does keep the Prism alive, both of the Disruptors there were picked off. And this actually now alleviates a lot of the pressure off of that Zerg's back. Alright, so with that, Reynor decides to start up a couple more drones. He's going into Roach speed. He's going into +2 flyer attacks. Or sorry, missile attacks. Zerglings. Oh my god, no way! The Adept over here just sleeping on the job. Zerglings just randomly run in, and this is not good. Although, very good control right there by MaNa. A couple of workers are going down here, but not nearly as many, I think, as many of us expected. Only 3 probes. 4 probes. Battery overcharge over in the main base. Honestly, that surround in the natural was gorgeous. That was absolutely perfect. Alright. There's the Baneling Nest coming up. But yeah, I think actually MaNa going for just a good old, like, Immortal Sentry-based push. Not a bad idea. He's getting Blink right now. Now, Blink is not done yet, so that makes it a little bit trickier. But honestly, Immortal Blink with Sentry support is extremely good. Obviously, you need to keep that Prism alive, though. Losing the Prism here would be bad. Luckily, actually, I just realized Mr. MaNa, he's got 2 different Prisms available. Couple of lucky balls right there from Reynor, hoping his opponent wasn't paying attention at the same time. While these Adepts are being unloaded inside of the natural expansion of the Zerg, we do have a big push towards the third base. Beautiful movement right here by MaNa once again. Killing a couple of drones, keeping that second Prism alive, and killing that hatchery too. Nice force fields right there. I was thinking he wanted to go for the retreat right here, but I mean, seems to be quite comfortable right there, standing on the creep. Killing that third base again now creates an absolute disaster right here for Reynor. So Reynor at this point, if you look at the income real quick, is being outmined so hard. In Zerg versus Protoss, it's pretty much always the Zerg player who has more economy. Since Zerg doesn't trade particularly efficiently most of the time and they lose more resources during the big battles, He, yeah, definitely needs to find a way to continue mining for a little while longer. Getting the prism would be a start. 7 more drones end up going down. Second prism in the back of the main base corner as well. That's 11 drones going down at the cost of like 5 adepts, maybe? Alright. Very good crisis management here by MaNa. Like, honestly, it's one of the hardest things to do in all of StarCraft 2. When you first start playing a game, everyone's got a plan. What is that quote again? Like, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. It's kind of like that in StarCraft 2. Like, you can practice your macro against AI as often as you'd like, right? Against the computer. However, it's all fun and game, or it's all fun and games until you get punched in the face by your opponent. And so far, it's been... Okay, well, gets 1 probe, I suppose. So far, it's been very, very stellar play here from MaNa. Although, he really needs to plug the front door, man. Zerglings, once again, ready to go for a run-by. There are Stalkers available, so maybe they can barely make the blink. Reynor thinking about going for a bit of a... Yeah, roll-by once again with a few Banelings towards the third. Creep spread, by the way, absolutely phenomenal here. Reynor, of course, one of the fastest players in the world. Average APM so far at 489 actions per minute. That is a pretty healthy amount. Don't think that these Banes are going to get anything done. Honestly, they could have rolled into the natural. But obviously, the Zerg doesn't know that. At this point, though, the strongest Zerg unit is able to also join in this battle pretty easily. And that's, of course, the Queen. Queens here, with this much creep spread, are going to be able to push themselves forward quite well. How many Queens are there in total? Only 5, so probably not going to be able to achieve too much. Either way, the Queens are still needed here to zone away against that, like, 4th War Prism of this game. 4th Nexus being acquired here as well by MaNa. Don't think it's going to happen just yet. I like the fact that he's actually adding on a Colossus. Big Protoss army moving out! Okay, gets a nice hit right there. Using the disruptors for a little bit of bowling. Don't want to overextend here though, MaNa. Okay, decides to disengage. Good control once again here by the Polish Protoss. MaNa is so underrated, man. MaNa is actually so good. Like, he doesn't have the best tournament results. But he's always, like, he's always there. He's always really good. And, like, I don't know. Every once in a while, he just... Everything seems to click in his head and everything looks beautiful. Like, this is some very impressive gameplay. Like, I've seen Reynor absolutely smash Protoss players in the past. Like, it doesn't even look close. Like, we all know that Reynor is very good, right? But so far, MaNa seems to be outplaying him pretty badly. That being said... Reynor did secure 3-4 bases once again. Dark Templar over here. Okay, getting in between the mineral patch, or the hatchery rather, and the spore crawler. I think the real fight is happening over here. Okay, actually the observer there gets picked off by a corrosive bile. He decides to blink on top of it. MaNa thinking about closing out the game right here, right now. Purification Nova also connects with a whole lot of those Ravagers, and I think MaNa might just be right. Getting quite a lot of damage done. That being said, Roaches and Zerglings still popping out of those cocoons. Ready to continue fighting for the Zerg a little while longer. Honestly, killing that Observer might actually backfire here quite a bit, because these fights are all taking place on creep. Few Banelings there being warped in. Prism over here as well. Wouldn't mind seeing maybe like a Zealot run by, although does he even have charge? No, he doesn't have charge. He's only at +1 as well, actually, which is also not great. I would have loved to see +2 coming up by now. Alright, Prism here eventually. I saw a little bit of gold lying on the ground. Pretty sure that one also ended up dying. Maybe not. I don't know. Anyhow. Oh, Miss Rally right here from Protoss. Free Immortal. I think a Stalker maybe took a bunch of damage too at the very least. Purification Nova. Okay. Grabs another one of those units. Prism was a little overextended. Reynor pushes this back. I thought Reynor was actually just being killed here when this push was happening near this choke point. But Reynor, I guess, still has enough eco. Now, securing a 5th Expo too, by the way. Or I guess a 4th Expo, 5th base. +1 melee is coming up for the Zerg player too, which I love. Makes those Zerglings and Banelings much more powerful. Now, very good hits once again. Using those disruptors. Stalker Colossus. This is a unit composition we don't see all too often. I've seen Classic play it a lot recently. Prism once again gets killed. But I feel like the 4th base is also not going to live for very long. Although, yeah, he needs to obviously use their units for fighting as well. If the Roaches and Ravagers can get on top of the Colossus, they will die very easily. This disruptor over here is also not going to live to tell the tale. Hatchery eventually does fall. A couple of additional adepts are now joining in the fray as well. But these colossi... Okay, that purification though. But these colossi were hitting all of the drones there. And they just picked up a whole load of kills. Alright. That being said... I feel like I've said that being said about a dozen times. MaNa did not realize that apparently this base over here at, like, what is this? Like the 2 o'clock position or so? That this one has been acquired by the Zerg. So those drones that were hanging out over here, like if MaNa at this point assumes that Zerg was on 3 bases, that could actually backfire really hard. Because at that point he might play more aggressively than he should, or he might not be expending as much as he should. He's sticking around on a ground-based army as well. Charge finally coming up, and we see additional forge upgrades too, which I like. Ooh, he's thinking about going for the base in the bottom left-hand corner of Berlingrad. Fair. Banelings. Thinking about going for a roll-by. Honestly, at this point, there's only 5 probes mining minerals here, so it's not even really worth it. Alright, Templar Archives. Nexus does come up. Interestingly enough, so MaNa is sticking around on a ground toss-based army. Obviously, in this meta right now, in Zerg vs. Protoss, we see sky toss pretty much every single day of the week. MaNa doesn't really have that much eco either, right? Like, I've been talking like he's winning the game, and I think he is winning the game. But it's not like he's got that much money in the bank. He's only at 57 workers. Yes, he's got a solid amount of bases, but he's not really mining all of the mineral patches particularly efficiently. Also, when it comes to, like, dealing with Skytle's armies, Zerg has a couple of tools, right? However, when it comes to, like, dealing... This is beautiful right here by the Zerg, actually. When it comes to dealing with Protoss ground armies, Zerg has, like, 17 different answers. From Brute Lords, to Lurkers, to Ravagers, to Swarm Hosts, to Banelings. Like, Zerg has so many options. There's finally the extended thermal lens as well. MaNa, honestly, a little bit too slow on the upgrades here. And this is giving Reynor a lot of time to get back into this game. Obviously, on top of the fact that, like, this base apparently was forgotten. Maybe he did see a couple of the drones traveling in that direction, or maybe he's figured out by now that that base has been acquired, but... MaNa right now giving his opponent a ton of breathing room because he can't really continue pushing here without those upgrades. +2 is coming up as well for Reynor. That will allow him to start one-shotting probes with 1 Baneling. With +1 melee upgrades, it takes those Banelings 2 hits to kill a probe, but with +2 they can one-shot them, which is a really big improvement. So far it's really not happened, but I can 100% imagine a couple of Banelings finding a random mineral line and, well, all of a sudden shutting down some of that eco some more. No tech up here so far by Reynor though, so he's still sitting at Lair tech. I think Brute Lords here would be really nice to have, right? So the thing is, yes, Stalkers are pretty good against Brute Lords, but if you have enough Brute Lords, it absolutely demolishes everything that Protoss has on the ground. The normal number of Brutes to get is about 8. I think when your opponent is going for a Stalker-based army, you just make as many as you can, and Protoss can't really do all too much. There's +3 coming up as well for MaNa, that's good. Gets 1 Ravager, nicely done. Pushes back some of the creep as well. Top right on base, acquired here by Reynor. Alright, I made some tea at the beginning of this cast. Or I mean, like, before starting up the cast. Now it's gone cold. My tea's gone cold, I'm wondering why. Alright, anyways. There's the Stargate, which, look at that. Honestly, I mentioned Stargate earlier, but MaNa doesn't have much eco. He's only sitting at 63 probes, he's not maxed out, he doesn't have a bank. The fact that Reynor actually is maxed out right now, or as close to it as possible, is kind of scary. Reynor does have a mid-game army though, like this is not a late-game Zerg army, plus he doesn't have the tech for it. So he's got an infestation pit somewhere. He needs to start up a hive. Oh my god, storm drops, sure. That's what this game needed. Couple of storm drops as well. I don't mind it. What I'm trying to get at, don't lose the Banes against the rocks, please. What I'm trying to get at is that Zerg here has a very powerful army, but it's a one-shot type of army, right? Like these units will pretty much all die, and it's one of those unit compositions. Another storm drop here. It's one of those unit compositions that really needs to be replenished by more. Either by like higher tech units or just more of the same, but I think the preference is on higher tech units. Like Lurkers, like Brute Lords. Or even just a couple of Vipers. I think Reynor might actually be thinking about making a couple of Vipers. Like both Disruptors, Colossi, Immortals, Archons, the Prism, even some High Templar. Abducting any of those units would be super nice. Okay, a couple of Stalkers. Ooh, almost get picked off. Few Dark Templar in the top right-hand corner. Apparently they have spotted the Overseer, so they decide to hide there for a little while longer. I also feel like in these bigger battles, Stalkers really fall off. There's double Stargate added on, by the way. Like 2 more Stargates, that is. As well as a Fleet Beacon. So MaNa is thinking about going for that Skytle's army eventually. Zerglings, in the meantime, on the other side of the map, going to finish off that gateway that he started working on at, like, what? The 2-minute mark? Yep, they're going to be able to kill this. Zealots form a full wall up over here, pretending to be a gateway. And at that point, Reynor actually using some of that mobility of his to just go across the map with way more units. Protoss at this point doesn't realize how many banelings there are out on the map, or at the very least on his side of the map. Adrenal glands coming up, +3 missile coming up as well for the Zerg, but here are the banelings. Beautiful response rate once again right here by MaNa, making the best of that, blowing up at the very least all of those banes. He's gonna have to respect this though. He just warped in a couple more units, but I think he's gonna need a little bit in order to deal with it. A few Archons and a Colossus get recalled. That's gonna at the very least force these links back off, but that's good, because now Reynor has bought himself a little bit more time. Rather than replacing the units that he just lost with like more Zealots, we see a couple of Carriers right now on the production tab. Zerglings are gonna be able to take care of the Dark Templar here in the top right-hand corner, but MaNa buying some time here once again. We see a second Cyber Core coming up. Or actually, no. He lost the first Cyber Core. He can't even make any Stalkers right now. It's a bit awkward. Anyways, he's going to go for a Cyber Core. Good zoning right here on the Spore Crawlers as well, by the way. That Prism is running dangerously low. These couple of Templar that are in this thing, so there's 1 DT here and 2 High Templars. They must be responsible for, like, what? 30 drone kills at this point? Like, combined? Oracle here added into the mix too, which is wonderful. I wonder if maybe Tempests are a better idea then, but doesn't really matter all too much. Protoss front door is wide open though. There's a lot of tech inside of that main base. I wonder if maybe MaNa should make like a new wall off over here. I wouldn't mind that at all. Maybe like a full wall off even. Okay, battery overcharge utilized here. Getting a lot of value though. A couple of banelings blow themselves up on that structure, and obviously those banelings cost a lot more resources than that structure they killed. Spire's coming up. Reynor has scouted at this point, obviously, that there's a carrier out. And if you don't respect a carrier, things do get pretty tricky. I would love to see +1 flyer attack, by the way, here for MaNa. Like, again, it benefits every single one of those interceptors. At the same time, there's a big fight happening over here, actually. 1 Purification Nova blows up on a couple of the Protoss units as well. Reynor trying his very best to push back this Protoss army that's so close to the creep. MaNa loses a huge chunk of his army there. A couple of Corruptors are added into the mix too. MaNa now actually even taking one of the X-Boats. That's normally the Zergs. My god, is this a game, isn't it? This might be the best game of the year. Didn't expect that when I sat down to cast this game just now, but this is an absolute banger of a Zerg versus Protoss. What a beautiful game. Like, the game has been around for literally 11 years now, and the skill level is still going up. Like, Reynor was like 8 when this game came out. You know what I mean? MaNa has been playing for a lot longer, but like, it's ridiculous. These guys are getting so ridiculously good. Fleet Beacon being built at the 6 o'clock position out of any like, even a contamination used on one of the Stargates here to slow down the production somewhere. I think what MaNa should have done was like complete the wall off once again, because now he's lost both the natural as well as the third. I guess MaNa plans though on just hanging out in the bottom corner of the map, like the bottom left corner. The only problem with that, okay, I love this. Once again, storm drops. One Stalker there awkwardly added into the mix too. I'm not sure what that guy's doing there, but anyways, oh my god, that's a lot of workers going on. I guess the Corruptor eventually is going to finish the Prism. Anyways, the problem with taking the bottom left-hand corner and building carriers is that it's going to slow down the pace of the game a lot. And honestly, if Reynor realizes what's going on, he should take this base at the 12 o'clock. Has he even scouted this one? No. This is such a brave expo from the Protoss to take, although he has seen some static defense over here, so he probably makes the assumption that it's happening at this point. Alright, so Since the carriers have been spotted, corruptors are being added into the mix here for the Zerg. Void Rays are really good against corruptors in small numbers. In big numbers, I'm honestly not sure how many Void Rays you want to have here. So there's 5 carriers at this point. Archons are obviously really good as well, since they deal splash damage, especially to clumped up units like corruptors. They can deal a lot of damage. Yeah, this is not gonna stay alive for much longer. The only thing that can make this game even better is like a full-on base race. I feel like I'm getting greedy just thinking about it. Love this, by the way. Reynor adding on some Vipers. Vipers here are so critical. Okay, he starts up a few spores here as well. Putting them down in the most likely attackable location here. He does, by the way, take that base at the 12 o'clock, which I think is wonderful. Alright. So, we're at 6 carriers, 5 Void Rays, 4 High Templar, 4 Archons, 2 Colossi. This is a banger of an army, man. The problem is that all of these units are very abductable. So it very much so comes down to that late game positioning, especially on the High Templar. So High Templar, technically speaking, outrange Vipers. They can feedback Vipers, or Vipers rather, to make sure that they deal not... you know, they are not capable of using that abduction ability. The problem is that a lot of Protoss players do not position their High Templar as efficiently as they probably should. And it works well against most Zerg players out there, but Reynor is one of the very best late-game Zerg players. He's not going to be mispositioning his Vipers very quickly, and I'm a little bit afraid that a lot of these Protoss units will just get harpooned, because this is not the way to control this army. The High Templar here in the middle, it means that the Vipers can just come in from the side and abduct whatever they like. You need to kind of have the High Templar in front of the army. The problem is that High Templars are slower than the rest of... Yeah, this is what you want to do. There you go. Feedback, feedback. There you go. The problem is that the High Templar are slower than the rest of these units, so you kind of need to, like, keep them... You know, keep them busy. Anyways, at the same time, while that's happening, we see Reynor moving on over towards that base at the 6 o'clock position. This is where most of that tech of the Protoss player is at as well. So this is actually becoming a bit of a disaster right now. Good positioning here on the High Templar. No, you don't want him too far forward. A couple of Banelings kill all of them. Even though this Protoss army here is still scary, without Storm, without feedback, it's a heck of a lot less scary. 6 o'clock base at the very least is defended. Couple of Brute Lords are coming up right now. There's that abduction I was talking about. Zealots here now inside of the natural of the Zerg player. These are Zerglings with +3 and Adrenal Glands, so they are pretty strong, but yeah, you're gonna need a little bit more than just Lings, I'm pretty sure, to deal with all of this. Oh my god, alright. I'm actually kinda... I still think MaNa here is ahead. But it's becoming dangerous. Reynor only has 24 workers, though. Actually, yeah, he's only got a 24 worker count right now and 130 supply. My god, even I believe here. Like, I have full vision of the screen and everything that's going on. And if I was this Protoss player here, I would assume that there's still a massive Zerg army out there. Like, the way that these fights have been going... Reynor definitely makes himself look here much bigger as far as the army goes than he actually has. Like, he doesn't have that much stuff. 95 army supply versus 151. There's a couple more Brutes coming up. Full Sky Zerg right here. A couple of Ravagers still available as well. I would love to see more of those Zealots just run by, but there you go. Another abduction. Basically a free unit. Okay, how many High Templar are here? 9 High Templar. That's a good amount. There's also a good amount of Brute Lords here, though. And those Brute Lords, like I tried pointing out earlier, they're very good against that ground army. Here comes the Protoss fleet, though. A couple more High Templar. Or sorry, a couple more Void Rays here are joining the High Templar and everything else that's available right here for our Protoss player. No prismatic alignment just yet. One of the units get picked off. Okay, a couple of the Brutes, though, are now under fire here from the Void Rays. Void Rays coming in from the side, activating prismatic alignment, picking off as many of those units as possible. Carrier's very exposed, but I think the Corruptors are going to have to move back to try and keep those Brutes alive. Once the Brute Lords are gone, all of a sudden, Protoss can just do a big ground unit warp in, and obviously just continue pushing in this direction as well. Apparently, the warp in is going to be down south, as the Zealots are gonna try and see if they can run into the Natural Expo. I wonder, though, if it maybe should have been Stalkers instead, because right now, most of the Protoss air units are gonna be picked off. Corruptors here obviously can target fire those pretty easily. That being said, okay, the Corruptors right now are not gonna be joined by any friends anymore since the Spire went down. They also can't morph into Brute Lords because the Greater Spire, well, that was the original Spire, obviously it got sniped. GG is cold. And it is gonna be Team Liquid's MaNa who obtains the victory in this absolute banger of a Protoss versus Zerg. Yo, do me a favor, if you made it all the way until the end of this video, please hit the like button. I'd appreciate it.